A long time indeed. I miss talking to you.
So, but
life has been hectic every day.
I can understand. I can understand. So we'll go straight into Gabriela. What are you doing these days? We'll go straight there.
So I am an organizational ombudsman. Actually a mediator. I'm sorry for the ombudsman part, because I was just having a conversation about this relation of the name in relation to the function, and already getting into the subject. And I hope Mona is coming in.
But you won't get totally into the subject, but you have to give me that 1 minute to talk about the event and all. So,
of course, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Go ahead. Of course, Eunice is also here. Eunice is, you can say hi to Eunice also. Hi, Eunice.
Hi, Vikram. Hi, everyone. Good to
Hello.
Hello.
So, okay, well, first of all, let's just say what are we doing here? What is it all about? This is about launching mediation circles. That's what it's all about. So this month, next month is just going to be mediation circles. I'll put out what the other ones are. So of course, Gabriela is here, and this is the International Organizational Mediation Circle. What I've done is on my website, that's mediatorvikram.com, I made a section on mediation circles. So let's just see what all has happened and what all are coming up. So of course, the World Mediation Circle, you can click here, fill the form, and if you want to be part of it, that's one. The India Mediation Circle, World Indigenous Peoples Mediation Circle, can, of course, that was a very interesting, whatever he says, his words of wisdom are always interesting. Then reflective practice with Michael Lang, trying to develop that. So every circle should have a reflective practice part of it. So we'll develop that, but we need lots of people out there who have that, have that mindset to put that reflective practice group together. So that's going to happen. Then International Commercial Mediation Circle. This one's also something which has a lots under this. Of course, the Sustainable Development Goals Mediation Circle. So each of them, then we can have our sub circles as part of that. So of course, the World Refugee Mediation Circle, again, Ken Cloak's words of wisdom. Gabriela, of course, International Organization Mediation Circle. Then we have day after, we have the International Family Mediation Circle, which Ken launches. Then we have the International Medianos. Medianos is a game that Massimiliano has developed. I found that interesting thing that even in schools, also in organizations, also to play a game on trying to resolve a conflict. So he's developed this step-by-step kind of thing, a little scientific in terms of how he's gone about it. So we launched that. Then we have the Global School and College Mediation Circles, which 26th Ken launches. On the 2nd of November, I've done 3 of them together. So global environmental, climate change, and natural disasters. I wanted to keep them separately and put them on the same day, because everything normally gets bundled together as all 3 together somewhere. Everything becomes climate change, but no. So that's what's happening. And now we won't take more of Gabriela's time. She's a very busy woman. So Gabriela, it's about you. Of course, all the introduction of more, you have to tell us more about yourself, and then we get into the topic.
Okay, Mona and Eunice, right?
Eunice, yeah.
Eunice, okay. So please, it's very interesting to exchange and not just talk by myself or with Vikram, because Vikram knows everything I have to say and much more.
You have lots more to say. We have to have lots of more conversations which we haven't had. So that has to happen. But yes,
can we have them introduce themselves and then I can?
Yeah. Okay. Mona, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Gabriela wants to know a little bit about you. A little bit. You'll have to unmute yourself. That'll help. If you unmute. Little unmuting, Mona. Little unmuting will help, because Gabriela can lip read in Lebanese, but from Lebanon, people from Lebanon, but I can't.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Mona Khwaire. I am from Lebanon, Beirut. I am a family mediator inside a religious corps, and my background in human sciences, psychology, and social worker. And actually, I did all my mediation trainings in Houston with Dr. Barbara Manuso. I am a member of the Texas Association of Mediators. I assist usually to the annual conference in Texas. And that's it.
Okay.
That's okay. That's a short introduction. That's okay. Yes, Eunice. We need your words of wisdom, Gabriela. That's what we wait for. Yes, Eunice.
Okay, my name is Eunice, like Vikram had mentioned. I'm a lawyer in Nigeria. I have my own law practice by the name Hefsiba LP. I'm also a mediator with the Lagos Multi-Law Courthouse. I mediate commercial matters, property, real estate, as well as workplace mediation. I love mediation. Mediation is my life. It's like my baby. Yes, I recently concluded my master's program in mediation and conflict resolution at the University of Strathclyde.
Eunice, you're normally louder than this. Right now, you're so subdued. What's happened? Scotland has done that to you. Let's hear the Eunice as we've heard her.
Now. Yes, am I louder now?
You've been louder normally, but doesn't matter. It's okay.
Yes, I am a peace educator, and I have a YouTube channel where I encourage the public about the concept of legal matters, on dispute resolution, and how we can actually live peacefully with one another.
Wonderful. Very, very nice. Vikram has a gift to bring people together, and I think it's just incredible, and it's the very essence of mediation. So I am Gabriela. I have worked with mediation for almost 30 years now. It's hard to count. At some point, I kind of lose count because it tells a lot about my age. I started talking about mediation. I learned mediation in the United States, and then I went back to Brazil, where there was nothing, no market, no knowledge, people, of course, managed to get their conflicts resolved through a lot of goodwill, and the Brazilian culture kind of helps because it's a very integrating integrating culture. People tend to melt together. Indeed, it's not like in a lot of other melting pots where people don't get so melted together. So Brazilians have this intention to bring people together, but having a methodology helps a lot. And because, as we say in Brazil many times, hell is full of good intentions. So people may have the good intention to bring people together, but not having not just the methodology, but also the experience on how to do it, makes things eventually get worse. So I went back to Brazil in 2000, trying to foster a market. And me and, of course, other great people were there since the beginning and seeing all the developments of the markets throughout time. So nowadays, we have a much more developed market than we did at that time when there was nothing. So, but we're here today to talk about organizational mediation, right, Vikram?
Yeah.
So besides being a mediator, before I could be a mediator full-time, I was a lawyer working in big organizations, big corporations, and law firms, and trying to build a collaborative environment was not exactly expected. But I always found that for my clients, the fight would not be a good deal. So normally, if you have clients who want to survive, either as a company or as an individual, the fight is the least thing that can be beneficial to your ultimate goal. Eventually, you need to fight to get things done. Eventually, you need to go against the flow to change some cultural aspects. But It needs to be an exception and not a rule. So as a lawyer working for organizations, I very early understood that fight should be the frontier that we would only cross on an exceptional basis. And this is still my main understanding of a conflict resolution system. We need to know how to fight so that we don't need to fight. We need to know where the frontier is so that we don't cross it. We need to prepare and to address conflict as consciently and skilled as possible so that it doesn't grow into a litigation that runs completely out of control. And when I talk about control, I'm not talking about a predefined solution. I'm talking about a process where every one of the parties feel that they are taken into account all the way, and that whatever comes out of this process is something that they can feel included, they can feel belonging, they can feel that they were part of the building of the solution. Because this is the only thing that I really believe in terms of sustainability of the results. But so, having been in my natural habitat in organizations for a long time, then learning mediation and coming back to the organizations to try to help people see the benefits of collaborative conflict resolution, forged all my career. And although I have worked with people in communities and in families and in schools and in prisons and in different environments, it is in the workplace conflict resolution that I find myself the most useful, because I don't just love the people, but I also understand the benefit of being in a big organization. And many times conflicts are generated because people lose sight of those benefits. So it is very important that the workplace, where people spend most of their lives, because it's true that we spend much more time at work than we do at home. It's important that the environment has this kind of service that benefits the whole. So I will never help anyone fight against another. I will always help everyone fight for the benefit of the whole, which eventually includes putting some limits in abusive behaviors, because that exists. But then when the situation reaches the level of what is unnegotiable, then of course we need the complementary services to be involved. And I will not be typically mediating. I will be helping people manage their way through the adequate methodology. So this is a summary of why I believe that the organizational mediation needs to have a lot, if not predominantly, the characteristics of an ombudsman, of an ombuds work, because then we can be more flexible and we can help people in many different settings, including, and this is actually what I do most of the time, to help one person feel strong enough again so that that person can address the conflict directly with the other people involved, without the need to have a third party involved. And when I am successful in this initial work that can either function as conflict coaching or as a preparation towards mediation, then it's when results are the most effective and sustainable, because people can really feel that the solution belongs to them. So I always say that I work to become unnecessary. And when I become unnecessary early enough, I'm very happy because I'm sure that people will have the best outcome in the short, medium, and long term. And of course, this is the best to the whole because they learn skills for life and for any other aspects of their work.
But Gabriela, you haven't told everyone that you are now, right now, what you are doing today. I mean, the sense right now, your position as a mediator in the ILO. You have to tell people that so that they know that where you're coming from. In fact.
So I am a full-time mediator for the International Labor Organization. And this is what I do like 200% of my time. And I'm very happy to do it. And it's also taking this example. All the UN agencies have either an ombuds office or a mediator's office or an ombudsman and mediator's office or some mix of it. And we have a lot of work indeed. And people normally think that these organizations are not conflictual in itself, or should not, because they work for peace, they work for human rights, and they work for decent work, and so on. But it's interesting that it depends a lot on the lenses through which we look at these realities, because in my humble view, people can come forward and use mediation services because, one, the organization provides this option, and it's encouraged that if you have a different conversation ahead, or if you're coming out of a difficult conversation where you feel that you were not completely heard, you were not understood, it's good to have a way to address it as early as possible. So it's about awareness. It's about making it possible for all to get the help they need as soon as possible. And also, the reason why so many people come to this type of service is because they feel that the organization is a safe place where it is okay to talk about what didn't go right. So it's about psychological safety. It's about respect to all. It's about acknowledging that conflict is a normal part of life. And being a normal part of life, it's also, it's like if you're sick, you need to go to the doctor. If you have a relationship that for any reason you couldn't deal with in your best capacity, and it can be for many reasons, you need to go to a mediator. And oftentimes I say that I am a doctor of relationships. And depending on the level of the problem, I can either be the family doctor or the oncologist. But it's always about taking care of the relationship so that the people can not get ill and still do their best at the workplace.
Now, only thing what I have to do actually, Gabriela, maybe you also don't know that we have 11, I think we've done 11 sessions in the sense of the 11 videos lying there with you. So let me tell people that they can actually go down there onto the website. There is actually on the channel, actually on the YouTube channel, there's actually a playlist, Gabriela's playlist. So you must have a look, because she spoke about psychological safety right now. So she's actually discussed that in one of the sessions there, which was, I think, in the World Mediators Conference last year. I think you did that. Let me just put that up. Let me see. I also don't know.
Vikram, so I'm concerned about this number because my family will be jealous.
I know. That's what I'm thinking, that you spent so much time with me.
Exactly.
Come on, open up this. It's opening. I will give you a minute. But I'll tell you, Gabriela, the concept about, for me, why am I doing this organizational mediation circle for me is important, because I want mediators to have work. And I feel every organization should have a mediator. And of course, you're in the organization, but I'm saying an outsourced mediator. So a mediator can be, of course, a mediator for various organizations. And that way, at least, of course, they get work. And for the people with that mediator mindset, I'm saying there are not so many of them out there. So they have to be used in various organizations, but their work for me is that they are a mediator for the organization, but they're identifying people with the mediator mindset in the organization and creating that environment within the organization where people can use them, the internal resource, and then the external resource is available to bring in whenever they want to. And of course, the external resource is going to be doing the skill development for the internal resource and of course for the organization. So that's the idea behind the organizational mediation circles, so that at least we get many more people coming out. So okay, so this is the Gabriela playlist. So of
Wow.
course, she discussed her experience as a JAMS International Fellow. Then, of course, in Conversation with the Beautiful Mind, which went into 2 parts with her. 1 part was not enough. I don't think I've done 2 parts with anyone, but they've been very interesting conversations. And of course, Heart, Soul, Spirituality. Again, 2 parts there. Then we have the symposium number 2, which is Heart, Soul, Spirituality and Mediation. Then Family Constellations and Mediation is something which, of course, Gabriela has, I mean, that's very interesting, that whole field. Then psychological safety. And then we had mediation legislation, which of course she's worked on in Brazil. And then we had the skill of ignorance. And of course, this now. So Gabriela, lots of it out there.
You're incredible. You're really something that if you were not alive on Earth at this moment, I don't think Earth had any chance of becoming a better place. So
Look, these are nice comments which make me go on and on, create more content and keep putting it out there. It just goes on. So in this structure that I'm talking about, Gabriela, in this kind of organizational mediation circles, how do you see that? What are your thoughts on developing these circles? Whatever.
well, I think the circles are very inspirational. And indeed, as you say, people need to be very creative on how to develop sustainable practice. And it's always about sustainability. I would love to hear Mona and Eunice if they want to step in. But if they don't, I'll keep talking. So
Eunice is always ready to step in. Eunice,
please.
But Mona wants to come in first. Yes, Mona.
Yeah. Okay, just 1 moment. I didn't hear the question, please, because we have a problem of connection on internet.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about how to make the mediation practice sustainable.
Yeah.
And I said I'm always pro sustainability. It's something that I keep working on as Vikram in Brazil and throughout all these experiences. I always found that there are lots of people who work for free as a mediator because we love so much what we do that it's very tempting to keep doing it, although it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time and preparation. So in order to make it sustainable, we need to really foster not just the providers community, but also the buying community. So the people who can benefit from mediation. Go ahead.
Okay, I like the idea that you mentioned before when you were explaining about mediation, that we are not fighting against any parties, but we are fighting with the causes or with something that we want to hold on. Like I'm working in a family court and religious court. It was a little bit hard in the beginning to expand the idea of mediation, of family mediation especially. And you are dealing with child custody, child support, alimony, visitation. So it is a little bit to expand the idea of the mediator inside the court. But now it's very good, well known, and we are working in a center of mediations that I've created. I am a co-founder of this center from 2018. The results are very impressive, but we don't have the rentability, like we don't have, I guess because it is a religious court, it's not enough money for a mediator who spent his time dealing with a human being. It is like you mentioned before, it is a relationship. We are building a bridge between two parties, and you are creating a communication between them to resolve the conflict. And it is specifically, it's a human side more than a material side, because we are not working with commercial side. We are dealing with mom and dad, couples, kids, and at the end, the kids are prime. We are working for the interest of the child. So we are the first center in Lebanon inside a court, a religious court, who is founded and created in Lebanon, and with good result till present.
Good, great work.
But it's easy.
Go ahead. You want to say something else?
I wanna say it's not. It's you should have a big heart. You should have a human side. You should have a profile of humanity, and without judgment, neutrality, empathy, and flexibility. And you have to support the conflict and the high voices and the conflict. You are between two parts in high conflict. It's not easy all the day to deal, but I like mediation. It's a part of my life. I like
it. Before we pass to Eunice, or I don't know if you want to say something, Vikram.
I want to say something, because the thing is that mediation by itself, of course, is a word which goes around. But for me, mediation is that blind man in the elephant situation. So everyone has their way of looking at mediation. So for a minute, let me, Gabriela, just maybe put out what that World Mediation Circle, the concept behind it, because what she said about the heart and everything. So of course, you've heard me, both of you have heard me enough, but let me put it out for Mona. The whole idea for me in terms of creating the World Mediation Circle was, everything else I won't talk about here. This is the whole idea behind it. Bring a moral values, principles, and ethics-based humanistic approach to dispute resolution, where heart, soul, spirituality play an important role. So if that's mediation for me, of course, there will be there will be all kinds of situations which is called mediation, which sometimes are settlement conferences, but that will also exist. Everything will exist. But this is where the kind of people also that I'm looking at are people who come from that space. So, Gabriela. Yes.
So what I was going to mention to Mona is that, interestingly enough, I see a lot of coherence between the workplace and the families. Because after all, if we think, and that we see clearly in the constellation work, I work a lot with constellation as a methodology to enhance mediation tools. So the organization can be compared to the mother in a family, in the sense of it is the organization that provides, that nourishes, that supports the work. And the typical manager figure can be compared to the father in a family, in the sense that when you manage someone, even if you are very caring and very loving and very sweet and so on, but your role is to help your team thrive, to help your team go out and get clients and bring and do the work and deliver and keep it going and keep the high standards of work, etc., etc. So it's very coherent with the fatherhood energy. So and the child, after all, not just the team as like not just the team is forged by these two forces, but also the product of the work is a child in a sense. So we can only make this child healthy and useful to society if we keep those standards of comfort and discomfort, protection and challenge, giving and taking in the good sense of a balance. So the dynamics of human beings, the dynamics of any living system are not very different. Sometimes we change the vocabulary or we change the timings, but in the end, we are all human beings more or less governed by these two main forces of motherhood and fatherhood in any relationship, and to produce anything, a human being or a service or a product. So at the end, it's people trying to make their best with all the challenges that are inherent to life on Earth.
So now you want to bring Eunice in? Eunice, your words of wisdom. Of course, let me tell you, Mohammad Hadeh say he finds that statement your statement very interesting. I work to become unnecessary. Likes that. Yes, Eunice. What's the plan?
You just took the word from my mouth, because I actually jotted that word down. That we need to. I work to become a necessary. I'm a relationship doctor. Those are words that are actually golden. I come today just to listen, but Vikram said I should say something. But from your few words, I've learned so much. And I want to mention that you're very beautiful, by the way, looking at you.
Thank you.
What do you mean, by the way? Why the by the way had to be added there? It could have ended at beautiful. What was the by the way for?
No, before I go on to the content, that I must
Thank you very
comment
much.
that
I like to
very
put people on the spot.
I know you always pulling my legs. I understand you. But as a mediator, I'm learning to listen, to enjoy silence, not just talking.
Wow, that's a change, Eunice. That's a new Eunice here. Eunice 2.0.
Yes, enjoying silence, the use of silence. And I think I learned that through the reflective practice over the last year. And then Vikram, I always say that well done for the good work you're doing, bringing people together. Your work in the field of mediation, I don't even know how to describe it, but you're doing amazingly well. Free, bringing resource people that people should actually pay to go and listen to. And you have so much energy, so much videos. That's
Too many.
Yes, thank you. And I think this is a very good development, bringing people all over the world together. And see, from what Gabriela said, many of us got into mediation not because of the money, but because of the flair, because of the passion that we want to just help people. I used to be a litigator. I could be very mischievous. When I go to the courtroom prepared, and you see the surprise on the other party, go, oh, I won. But as we continue to grow, like, there's more to life than just winning. You're winning at what cost? To the parties, to your clients, and so forth. I find more fulfillment in helping people when I see people resolving matter amicably. But over the year, I've learned so much. It is not my duty to resolve, where I should give people a safe place to talk to each other, which is part of what you have mentioned, the empowering people to be able to communicate and resolve matters amicably. You also mentioned we need to know how to fight so that we don't fight. It's very good. Yes. So with the experience we've had all over, that we can bring it together and help people to be able to live collaboratively. You can see it all over the world now, so many rumors of war all over the world. What is causing it? Getting to the roots of conflict, which is actually the greed, disorderliness. You mentioned the unit, family being a very substantial unit or in a society. If you get it right from the family, I believe in the workplace, in the society, in our political arena, we get things right, which is part of the reason I joined the peace education movement, do video on encouraging people on how to live happily with one another, starting with children. Adults are, the habit already formed. We may not be able to do much, but with our little effort, we can still help people or young people growing up on how to deal with conflict and resolve conflict. Above all, we all have needs, and then need has to be met one way or the other, which is where I see this, even this circle bringing us to how do we develop our practice? How do we add value? Because when you're giving values, then you should get value in returns. We have needs. And I believe as we continue to do this, in fact, sky is not a limit. We continue to make impact in the life of people. We continue to make the world a better place for people to be able to do business together, to have a relationship. I'm a very good fan of family. But when we have a dysfunctional family, you see a single parenthood, what is causing it? So we need to address it, seeing ourselves more than people coming to us, beginning it out as a coach, like you've mentioned, as an advocate, telling people a better way to do things, to transact business, to raise a family, to bring people together. And I can say we are making impact, and we all get to achieve our desired goal at the end of the day. So I think I'll stop at this point.
Yeah, but I think the important thing, Eunice, is that you've heard that evolution of a mediator series of mine. So now there is evolution of Eunice happening. This is, you can look, the videos are all lying there. So I'll let people watch those earlier ones. There's a different Eunice coming out. She's okay. I don't know. Let's not say she's growing up. She's maturing, whatever. For me, she's evolving. So that's a very good thing, Eunice. Very nice. I like this, Eunice. Yeah. Well, I like the other one also. So,
Thank you.
That's
yes,
very nice. I don't know if Mona wants to say something. She moved towards the microphone.
I have something to say. I agree with Eunice and the idea of building a communication between parties, and we're not going to fight. We're not going to have an idea in our mind that we have to fight, that we have to have a peace of mind, to build a bridge between them. And I want to mention something. When you work with children, when you have to deal with parents, in the case of children, is different in the area of how to handle, for example, how to educate parents that the best interest is for the children to find a solution suitable to the child. And maybe sometimes we have like a mission of orientation and education for parents who are fighting to take the child custody. Who wants to take the child custody, mom or dad? Or we have a child between our hands. We have a responsibility. We have a human being that where these two adults, mom and dad, are fighting, and with unknowledge about the future, about the plan. They are fighting because they make some transferring their problems to their children. We have to be aware. We have to be vigilant. We have to be we have maybe I have a psychological knowledge. I am a psychologist. Maybe I know the personality with whom I'm dealing. And after all, I go with the result. We have to work for the best interest of the child. This is a difference. I guess this is the difference between a consumer mediation, or, for example, two adults in conflict about properties, about not like mom and dad, about child custody, about alimony. It's a little bit different. The family is different, I guess. I don't know. This is my opinion. What do you think?
But Mona, day after we have the launch of the International Family Mediation Circles, so you must participate in that. That's at, of course, 9:30 p.m. India time. Zoom link remains the same. You can drop in for that. So that's where all the family-related issues will be there. But Gabriela will, of course, talk about it. For her, the organization is also a family, so there are connections there. Yes, Gabriela.
I find it interesting that humankind is the same everywhere. We only change the address and some other characteristics that are completely superficial. Because, for example, when we talk about the best interest of the child, this is exactly how I feel when I talk about the one organization. I talk about the conflicts of the people inside the organization, but always having in mind that the organization is what holds us together. The organization is what is our primary client to all of us. So the child, in a way, and now I'm talking on the opposite sense that I did of what I did before, the child means what comes from all of us and needs all of us. So in a sense, when you talk about the child's interest, and that eventually you need to remind the parents about what is best for the child, of course, not telling the parents what is best for their child, but generating reflections and awareness about what a child needs universally, and therefore making this the north of the conversation. It's the same thing as an organizational mediation, where the organization is our north. The benefit to the purpose that holds us together must be present in all our conversations, even when eventually we are talking about an interpersonal difficulty among two adults. But we are here for the organization. Therefore, the organization cannot be just the backstage decoration. It needs to be in the articulation of the purpose of any solution. Or we need always to have in mind that we are here to serve something that is bigger than us. And that happens to us also when we become parents. So when I was pregnant of my daughter, I had this very, how can I say, difficult perception that I was carrying something that was more important than myself. I was much bigger than one woman because I was carrying a product of my love. So that makes us so responsible. And it's for life. It's not something that we can just say, okay, now I'm resigning, or someone is being fired, because still, when we work for a purpose, that will still be somehow more important than the parts, more important than the people, although the people are fundamental. So we create and we are created by the organizational pattern of relationships. That has a big influence in our personal lives. If we live in an environment where we feel fear all the time, where we feel disrespected and so on, we bring this energy home as well. But also, when we come through the door with our own issues, we need to make sure that we reach a minimum level of self-awareness so that we don't spread this situation around. But we are humans and we are fallible and we make mistakes all the time. So many times a mediator is really necessary to restore this balance between what is individual and what is collective, what is my interest and what is the organizational interest, and how can we all unite towards the same goal. So I don't know if that was confusing or clarifying, but
it was interesting. That's the main thing. But Gabriela, you've been an ombuds, and of course, being a mediator in an organization, you have to tell us how you see that role of an ombuds and how, because I've had a lot of discussions with the ombuds and the concept of ombuds, a Swiss Army knife, and the wider role that they play. And because I feel that an organizational mediator doesn't have any conflict with the role of an ombuds, and we can have both coexisting. So
exactly.
On that aspect of it, because like I said, we have to create opportunities for mediators. So something on that.
So in this concept of the Swiss knife, which is perfect for me.
We are sitting there. You're sitting there.
Yeah. The point is, if you have an ombudsman, you may or may not have a mediator specialized in the specific process of mediation. Even if it's a flexible process, it is a very specific process, right? So in an organization, depending on the size, the amount of people, the nature of conflicts, you may or may not have room for this specialized service as a mediator. But what I don't see happening is to have a mediator and not having an ombudsman. So the ombudsman can do something similar to what a mediator does. Of course, having someone to be the mediator in an ombudsman context or after the ombudsman initial conflict mapping. Because the first thing we need to do for a client, or we can call a visitor, the first thing is to receive the person and listen and help the person have a better vision of their own map of options. So it's just like receiving a patient in a doctor's clinic. You receive the patient talks about the symptoms. The patient can tell you where the pain is, how high is the pain, when the pain happens, how the pain looks like, and so on and so forth. But if they were skilled enough to make their own diagnosis, they would go straight to the specialist. If they go to a family doctor, to a general practitioner, it's because they don't have a diagnosis. They only have the symptoms. So this family doctor must be the ombudsman, not the mediator. The mediator is one of the specialists. So you can have a family doctor and eventually not have a specialist, which is a problem, because in some cases you need more specialties. But you cannot have just the specialist and not have the family doctor. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because as we say in Brazil, if you only have a hammer, anything will look like a nail. You need a wider kit of tools. So in an organization, this is the ombudsman. And then after this initial mapping, this initial understanding of the situation and the options ahead, so that the client can make an informed decision on where to go next, that may or may not be mediation, then it is necessary to have the specialized services, including mediation. So I can be a mediator if there is an ombudsman, but it's unlikely that I can be a mediator without an ombudsman in the organization, because who will do the diagnosis? And then things get very, we need to be very careful so that we respect all the services, but we also respect the need of the client to be guided through the different specialists. Because in a conflict situation, and I don't want to teach the priests how to pray, or to play, but in a very complex system, it is not very realistic to expect that the people in conflict, blurred by the conflict, will be able to make their own diagnosis and go knock at the right door when they're still in the middle of the conflict. Does it make sense to you and to everything you've been talking about, Vikram?
No, it absolutely makes sense. Well, but only thing, look, for me, it is that we have to, of course, create these situations, positions in organizations. It might not be too big. So obviously, for them to have an ombuds and have a mediator can be outsourced. Can we look at outsourced ombuds also? That can also be an option. But let me just put up one report that the Georgetown University had taken out in terms of the role of the ombuds, for what all they did. So I was just, okay, so this is basically Daniela she's been on those discussions. Daniela is the ombuds there. So let me, what I'm going to do is just take you to the page where this is what this is the visitors, and then we had what all happened. This is in terms of the cases. So there were individual visits, but 9 mediations. And then she's put down the kind of role that they played in each of those. So this is what largely the role as they put out there. So of course, in terms of mediations, definitely being a small part of it. So all this is there now. Of course, like you said, you should have a family physician and you have to have specialists. So create those both positions as outsourced thing. I don't know, because a lot of organizations might not be able to have an ombuds, but wherever they do have one, they should be looking at a mediator, maybe again outsourced, I would think. So this is how they look at the work of the ombuds.
That's very interesting, Vikram. Is it online?
Yeah, this is available.
And you see the proportionality is 93 for 5%.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely coherent with my experience. Totally.
Exactly. And and not having a specialized mediator available and the ombuds doing it, if it was going out for mediation, maybe a lot more would happen in relation to mediation also. So whether that option, creating that option helps a little more. So I found that interesting because, like I said, I feel that this is one area where these people are expected to do a little too much. And then, of course, not being specialized in mediation, that maybe that area is not maybe looked at too much and not explored as much as it could. So that by itself is an opportunity for mediators. Like you said, you have the ombuds, it's not taking away their job. It's like they should not feel that we are taking away their job. We're adding to it. So
exactly. So I became an ombudsman when in Brazil, the legislation regulating some areas, some markets, so insurance companies, health companies related to health in general, and financial institutions, they started being required by the regulating entities, governmental entities, to make it mandatory for ombudsmen to have training in mediation. this is when I started working as an ombudsman, because I was a consultant for many ombuds offices until I got an invitation to become an ombudsman. So having at least training in mediation should actually be a requisite to be an ombudsman, for sure. The point is, can you be specialized enough to only do mediation? Then we need a very, very big organization to have this, the size to support one super specialized function.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that you have this as an outsourced function. So
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
keeping that, because I just feel that I feel that that area has not been explored enough, I think, and the way it should be. Because for me, look, it's not about, I mean, if you, even if it's outsourced, this person, I mean, in some way, as they go along, they create that trust within the organization. And because of that, once they have the trust of the people in the organization, and because of that, they trust the process. So the process gets used more than what it normally is. And then that helps mediation in general, because organizations have people who are, of course, part of communities and families and everywhere. So they take that experience there. And the reverse, and when I'm doing that now, there'll be a community mediation circle. There'll be lots of circles. So the experience that they get from community, if they experience mediations in communities, they will take it into organization. So that's how it's about experiencing. I think that's wherever there is an opportunity to make people experience mediation, we have to do that. So that is what the idea is. So let's get them to experience it, and experience it well.
More.
So yeah.
I have a question for Gabriela. Are you working with Lebanon?
Yes, some cases.
Some cases in an organization or?
Yes. Colleagues.
Eunice wants to say bye before she wants to leave. Yes, Eunice, you can say bye.
Yes, thank you once again, Gabriela, for sharing from your wealth of experience. Mona, thank you also. I learned from everyone that's spoken today. I'll have to sign out now.
And what about me? No, thank you to me.
I'll say thank you, Vikram. I say thank you.
But you go to the Gabriela playlist and watch those really interesting sessions. I mean, she has so much to.
And I'll connect with you on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, but we'll watch those sessions.
A pleasure.
You must do that.
All
right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you as well to all of you. It's always a pleasure, and I think it should be mandatory to have Vikram in our lives in order to become.
Gabriela, can I have your email, or can we get in touch in the future?
Of course, with a lot of pleasure. Can Vikram send it to you? He has it all.
Yeah. Well, then send that to you. Not a problem. This is what I do. I just become a matchmaker, and I want to move away from that role. I want to move into people now doing more. Of course, they connect with each other. Very nice. But now just work on the ground. Let's create mediation circles. Let's get people in. That part is the missing part up till now. Matchmaking was good. Connections are good. But for me, they have to be used in relation to getting the grassroots movement going. So that's what the focus now is. So Mona, please connect with her, but also create a mediation circle in Lebanon. Create a Lebanon family mediation circle if that's the area. Come day after, when we have the launch of the International Family Mediation Circle, and under that there'll be lots of mediation circles. So we'll have one Lebanon family mediation circle that we create. That's when things get going. Connections adapt.
I would like to.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. That's the whole idea. So of course, because you're looking at family, if you were looking at organizations, I would say talk to whatever organizations you can, I mean, whatever you have some entry, talk to them about creating an organizational mediator position, outsourced. But of course, if you're looking at family, maybe you might not want to do it, but let's just spread the word, create circles wherever we can. So that's the idea. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Vikram.
Thank you for coming in. So, Gabriela, your concluding remarks. We can't end without your concluding remarks.
Okay, so I am absolutely pleased to exchange about this. I think this role of the organizational mediator is something that is new in the world. And if we think about private market and other cultures as well, there's a lot of potential to develop it. And of course, it will be different from one organization to the other. There's not one that is better than the other. There are best practices, but most of all, it's something that needs to be tailored to the organizational needs and possibilities, because it's not something that can be just to tick the box. It needs to be something really operational. And for that, there are many requisites that need to be taken into account, but still making it to the size and to the style that respects the culture of the organization. And of course, having an internal mediator or an ombudsman already shows some characteristics of the organization. The organization that has such a role is an organization that is indeed concerned with the well-being of the people, that is indeed concerned about walking the talk. It's indeed concerned about looking at things that went wrong or could be better. So, and actually acting upon it. It's not just something to be one more cost line. So it is already a sign of goodwill.
Yeah. But now, Gabriel, you have to give me time because once these circles, look, idea is not today is the launch of the circle, but then let me get people together who are interested in developing these circles. And then you have to, your expertise, you have to share that with them. At least let's develop it well. So whatever best practices and all that, whatever you feel should be things that you have to look at, should not look at, all those things. Then you need to spend time with those people. Right now, it's about, of course, this is general, but then we'll specifically create those people who have. I mean, look, you have the experience. Why not? Let's get it out there. Let's get people to at least experience things, experience your experience, and take it forward in a good manner. So that's what you need to spend time. You'll need to spend time on. I know you're a very busy woman, but you need.
One of the things that a mediator needs to do in an organizational setting is to manage expectations. So I need to manage your expectations because
you have to.
It goes beyond my possibilities. So
yeah. Because up till now, look, you've whatever you said, I mean, whatever shows that you've been on, all those interesting things is something that, of course, people have taken from that, and it's been really nice. But now let's help people create things. So now it's actually creating that circle, what you need to do stepwise, if we have to, everything. That let's give them. I would want that we should be able to create a manual, creating an organizational mediator position in your organization. And for those mediators, this is what your experience has given you. Put that down. If we can do that, that'll be really nice. If we can create something like that, and then we'll get more inputs into it.
In another life, or when I retire.
No,
I cannot. I just cannot get anything else into the schedule. It's just not possible.
Okay. No writing any manual, but at least you can spend that 1 hour and just give that whatever you say. That we'll put it down somewhere.
No, I need a life just to read the books that I have piled to read as a priority. So in order to write, it's then a second life.
Okay, no writing. That's a bad. I'm not going to use that word again. I know. Whenever I say write, it means, oh, there's a lot of time to be taken. No, just okay. That 1 hour that you give, we'll take from there, and then we'll create something out from there. Or maybe if a document has to be created, we'll create it. Otherwise, that video is good enough. That's okay. I mean, not all have to put everything on paper. Video is also good enough. So we'll do that. So I'll take time from you for that as we go along.
Let's negotiate.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'll find a way to get that time out of you. But let's do that later as we get more people into the picture, and we let that whole thing happen. Let people come in, and then we'll do that. So you have to give me time for that. So yes, but if you want to go with the other launches that are happening, other mediation circles that if you want to be part of, please let me know.
I want to be part of everything, but I just don't. It's not possible.
So, but the events at least
I don't have the magic wand yet. So I'm working on it, but I don't have it yet. So
Look, the world needs you, Gabriela. The world needs you. You can't shy away from that. So that's
Okay.
part of the good things that you have to do in the world that you have to do that. So, but the other events you can come for. Like I said, Zoom link is there. The schedule is normally up on the website. Drop in, say hi to everyone. So yeah. So
Okay, Vikram, you deserve it.
thank you. So thank you very much. And of course, we'll see you soon. And thank you, Mona, for coming in.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Mona. Very nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.